Welcome to Revelstoke Responders. I'm here today at the Fire Hall in Revelstoke, and I'm joined by Matt and Emily. Thank you for joining me.
Thanks for having us.
Again. No. Yeah, so today we're here to talk about the fire service in Revelstoke and kind of what attracted you to it and what brought you here. So before we get started into that, Emily, what brought you to Revelstoke?
I came to Revelstoke almost 6 years ago. I came with the intention of staying for a year to ski and to live in the mountains, and I have not left yet.
A classic tale.
A classic tale.
Yeah, I've heard that a few times.
Kiwis and Aussies and Brits in Canada.
Yeah. That's okay, though.
And Matt, you are from Revelstoke.
Yeah, I'm from Revelstoke, and so I didn't have a choice. My dad wanted to move here, my mom and dad. He got a teaching job, so I was born here. And when I graduated, I left for quite a few years, went to school for a bit, worked up north, did all that, realized that Revelstoke's actually a pretty sweet town. So came back in 2007 and settled down.
Nice. Yeah. The rest is history.
That's right. Yeah.
Perfect. So what attracted you to the fire service in the first place? Emily, we can start with you.
After I had been here for a few years, I got my permanent residency and I decided that I wanted to do some sort of volunteer effort in town. And while I was starting to explore what those options were, the fire department put signs out the front of the building that said they were recruiting volunteers, and I was basically like, oh, that looks cool. I'll give that a shot and then see where we end up. And fortunately I got hired and as a volunteer, and I've been on the department almost 3 years now.
Mm-hmm. We finally
the signs work. That's
the
awesome.
signs work. Yeah,
That's
they
good.
do.
We finally got our 1001s. And Matt, what was your journey to the fire service?
Well, I can't remember that specific moment. And I honestly wasn't one of those kids that was like, I want to be a fireman when I grow up. I don't know why. I just originally was attracted to forest firefighting, which I got into in 2005. It just seemed like I just loved being outside and being part of a team, and it just seemed like a great job. And it was. I loved it, and I ended up putting in 6 seasons forest firefighting, some up north and some in Revelstoke. Sorry, not 6 full seasons. I came here. I got this job partway through my 6th season because as much as I loved the job, I got in as a volunteer partway through. My summers firefighting here. Sorry, this is kind of a roundabout story, but anyways,
all right.
I was a volunteer here and a forest firefighter. The job came up. At this point, I was married. I still am. I shouldn't say was.
Congratulations.
Yeah. It's tough to have a job like that with a family. You're gone you basically can't make any plans between June and October.
Right. So
a job came up here, so we thought that'd be pretty cool to have a schedule. As much as I loved that job, I thought I'd love it here too, and I do, and I applied, and that was it. That was 2013.
Nice.
Yeah.
Perfect.
And I'm glad it all worked out that way.
Absolutely.
I never would have guessed as a kid, though, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, I think that especially, I don't know, in areas where there are volunteer departments, it's not something that you kind of think about. And then all of a sudden, like you said, Emily, you see I used to live in a town in Ontario, and I saw it on the Legion community board as I drove down the street, and then you saw the placards or whatever they are on the side of the road, and it's something that you kind of apply for, and you go, oh, I mean, I get the appeal. I enjoy this. I think for some clarity, Emily and I are part of the same class. We joined the same year and have been going through training together and going to calls and both as volunteers. But yeah, it's kind of a cool opportunity for people, especially as a volunteer. You don't have to dive all the way in. You can do the training and see what parts you like and don't like. And if you don't like the whole thing, you're just a volunteer. So it allows that that chance to try something, which is hard to do in a lot of these professions.
Yeah, it gives the opportunity to come in without necessarily as much of the like background prerequisites that you need to do it as a career.
Yeah.
Or the financial resources, because it's expensive to go somewhere to do a course.
Yeah.
And yeah, we were lucky enough to do it all in-house in Revelstoke with our training officer, and it's a time commitment. That's sort of the main thing that I would say, especially as you start off, because you commit a lot of time to make the training and make sure you don't fall behind your classmates. And it's very challenging to catch up when you're doing a live fire scenario, which takes a lot of logistics to organize, instead of catching up on, say, the knots class, which you can do kind of on your own time even.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's kind of a huge benefit of the program that we have here, and probably I'm not sure how a lot of volley crews work around the province, but
I think it's pretty similar now. Yeah, I don't know for sure, but.
So talking about training and going through as a team, do you have any memorable training moments that you can mention that are PG?
Okay, you got to go first. Maybe I'll come up with one.
Okay. We have like a burn building that we use at our training center, and we had a scenario set up one training night where we had a team of 2 going in, and we had another team outside that when indicated would pencil in from the hose into the second story. And at the point in time which I happened to be in the building with Kyle, we were going down the staircase, and much to our surprise walked through just like a full cascading waterfall of water that was pouring off the second story down the staircase. So that was a bit of a surprise. When you're in a dark building, you can't really see much. You're just walking around by feel. You're not expecting to go through a waterfall.
Blackout. It was refreshing.
It was.
Yeah. That was for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, I remember that. It was quite shocking. Maddie?
Okay, this one isn't funny, and it's appropriate. Okay, I promise. You said memorable this time, so I'll go with memorable.
Yeah.
When it was my first live fire. We used to have to go to Salmon Arm for our live fire training, so it would have been my first year, maybe into my second year. Anyways, it was my first time really wearing a SCBA, other than just like trying them on here. So, so there's a bunch of training. The guys running the training there weren't, like, we didn't know them. I think they were Salmon Arm firefighters, or maybe from around the area. So we're taking turns, of course, going into the burn building, and it's my turn, and I put my BA on, and I turned my air on, and then I started getting claustrophobic, big time. And I couldn't ever remember having claustrophobia before, but it started I'm like, oh my God, this is what claustrophobia feels like. And I can't be a firefighter. I can't control my breathing. I just want to rip this mask off. I was trying so hard not to do it in front of everybody. And all it took was, as I was thinking this, the guy literally just pushed me, you're up. And then as soon as you stop thinking about it, I didn't think about it for the rest of the scenario. And I was fine, of course.
Yeah.
I made it through. And so I learned right then and there that if you ever start getting that feeling, it's because you're thinking about it way too much.
Right.
And if you start keeping busy, then your mind is on something else, and you totally forget about feeling claustrophobic. At least for me, that's what worked.
Yeah.
And it was a real eye opener. I actually thought that I'm like, I got to quit the department for a couple seconds. I was
it.
It's all
I was
over.
ready to walk out. If I'm this guy, then I can't do this.
Yeah.
But yeah.
That actually reminded me of another training exercise that we do, which is we have like an entanglement prop, and it's like a U-bend prop that's built with.
Yeah, it's like a J. It looks like a J from space.
Yeah.
And it's got bits of wire and plastic cabling, and I think there's some ropes in there, all kind of pulled across the top, and it's all tangled up. And part of our training exercise is that you have to climb your way through it. And I think the idea is it's simulating if a ceiling came down or something, and
it's
you
supposed
got
to simulate the wires
and the wires,
wire racks coming down from the ceiling. Yeah. Yeah, I think people need to know too how tight this is. You got wires on top of you and ropes on top of you and attached to you, but it's also like you're going through it like this.
Yeah.
So the claustrophobic feeling can really
And you're
take over.
blindfolded usually.
Yes, and you're blindfolded. Yeah.
Yes.
So yeah, you're already battling with the unknown.
And then all of a sudden you can't move.
Yeah.
Hands are like one's like this.
And you're trying to turn like a 90-degree bend with like an air tank on your back.
Yeah.
On more than one occasion, I've seen people panic and have to get someone to rip their mask off for them because their hands are all.
For sure.
It's a really bad feeling.
It's hard when you get claustrophobic like that to like calm your breathing down and think like, okay, maybe to go forwards, I actually have to go backwards.
Yeah.
You just want to be done.
Yeah.
The worst part of that is that it's open. The top's open,
Yes.
so you can get to any part you want and like drop in bits of webbing or bits of rope. And I lassoed a few people. You get it just the right way around their helmet that it's all of a sudden around their shoulders. And I mean, it happened to me too. So it was just pretty. It's
a good training exercise for sure.
Yeah. It would have been bad on your first day with
it. It would have been really bad on the first day.
First experience.
I guarantee I probably would have changed careers.
Yeah. And for those that don't know, SCBA is a self-contained breathing apparatus, and that's what you see firefighters wear on their backs when they go into any hazardous environment. Yeah, so away from sort of the physical training, what do you think sort of soft skills makes for a good volunteer, a good firefighter? What do you think are good characteristics for someone who's looking to maybe apply or be a part of the service?
You had a good one last time. I don't want to steal it.
I think it was ability to work well within a team.
Yeah, for sure.
Because everything we do is a minimum 2, but often more people.
Mm-hmm.
And being able to follow direction and work together to get your task done is super important.
Yeah.
Maybe it's ironic for me to say this after telling you about how I panicked wearing a BA, but I would say the ability to stay calm in a stressful situation. I'm not saying I can do that every time, but I'm saying if I could, I'd be glad that I had that trait. I think it's a good one for people to have.
Right.
To kind of just take that extra deep breath and look at things. And
yeah, definitely. I think, you could add anything to that, to keeping a cool head, like communication. If you're panicking and trying to communicate, it's hard to communicate with people. Totally. If you're panicking and trying to organize something, you can't organize it as well because your mind's in a panic. And it is interesting to see different personality traits on a fire ground, and when everything's loud and there's just so much happening and people zipping around, to see kind of, I think from what I've experienced, that we all are able to fairly well keep a cool head. And it's very impressive to watch us actually work as a team, because you only see it in training where it's not as intense. Mm-hmm. And then when you go to an actual call, everyone, that switch flicks and you can tell that people are in it, and it's really impressive to watch. And I mean, what's the saying? Every game plan only works so you get punched in the face. And I mean,
what?
You've never heard that?
I've never heard that.
Oh, it's a really famous saying.
Yeah.
Okay. I think Mike Tyson.
He said it on three podcasts, so it's pretty much famous.
I've said it in every episode.
Yeah.
But that, I mean,
no, I've heard that before too.
Yeah,
it's so true. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, your training's great, but when you actually are face staring down a fire, it could totally changes.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's super important as well. Like, you need to maintain a good situational awareness, and like being able to look at the bigger picture, because there can be a lot of potential hazards around. So if you kind of get into that like panicky mindset, it can be really easy to tunnel vision. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Totally.
Yeah.
But it's also, some people go too far the other way, trying to be too calm, and then they just act like they don't care.
Right.
So I feel like there's that happy medium where you got to show that you got to act with some urgency, but not be freaking out,
Right.
And it helps for, you can imagine if you're somebody new or old, and your heart rate's up and you're panicking, and you go talk to the incident commander, and they're calm and collected, it brings you down too, right?
For sure. Mm-hmm.
It should anyways.
Should.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's the no running on the fire ground. It's like a pool.
Yeah,
no running at the pool.
Yeah.
You shouldn't run on the fire ground, but everyone has a very good quick walk.
Yeah, really good quick walk.
Walk with purpose.
Yeah, for sure.
That's right.
So Matt, can you give us sort of a breakdown of what the Revelstoke Fire Department, sort of our main call outs and main
The kind of calls we go to.
yeah,
Yeah.
call diversity.
For sure. There's many. A lot of people, obviously people know we go to fires. Most people know we go to highway rescues, extrications, and most people know we go to medical calls. But some of the rare ones that maybe people don't know about are elevator rescues, and wires down, hydro poles down. They often can be sparking with branches leaning on them, or trees leaning on them, branches falling on them. And of course we go to gas lines being struck by equipment digging or whatever, smell of gas. If people they just smell propane, we go with our sniffers and go try and figure out. Often it's not propane, often it's something totally different. What else we got? We have a list up front for our call or run order and how we go to each call, but I know I'm going to miss a bunch here. Oh, we did talk a bit last time about the cats in trees.
Yeah.
We do get calls for cats in trees. We don't usually go. We usually tell the people to wait a couple hours and see if the cat's still up there, then we can reevaluate. Usually they never call back because the cat always comes down.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we do go to those. Or drones in trees we get the odd call for.
Oh, that's new.
That's all I can think of off the top of my head.
Enough to
Am I
keep you
missing
fairly
something?
busy.
Yeah, totally, yeah. And as the town grows, we're getting busier and busier and more variety of calls. Of course, lots of false alarms, as you guys were well aware.
Yep.
Yeah, there's lots of false alarms, especially.
One day it'll be the real thing.
I know, that's the thing. We have to treat them all as if they're the real thing until we know otherwise.
Yeah. I'm always curious. We see sometimes a call comes in on the pager and it says miscellaneous. And you're like, I wonder what that could be.
Yeah, miscellaneous, that could be a cat in the tree.
Right.
That could be sometimes there's flooding. Not that we get flooding like river flooding here, but torrential downpours. People are having issues with water running into their basement. We might help them do some damming and diking to divert the water away from their house. I guess that's another one. Speaking of damming and diking, hazmat calls.
Right.
We'll go to for whatever the hazard might be. And confined space rescue we do low angle rescue. We're hoping to get trained into crane rescue and high angle rescue in the next couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
Being with the you see more cranes obviously now.
Yeah. All sorts, yeah. The Swiss Army knife of
that's right. What do they say? You're jack of
all trades, master
of none. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, heard that before.
I don't know if that's the slogan we want to go with.
No,
actually,
I know it is. Master of all.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, change
Perfect.
a bit for us.
Yeah. So Emily, from the perspective of a volunteer, what does sort of a page out look like? What are the steps that occur for you?
So as a volunteer, we don't go to the same array of calls that the careers go to. We only go to some of them when numbers are needed, I guess. So a page will come in. We have a physical pager system where we see the radio. We hear the radio broadcast come in, and then it also pushes to our cell phones, so we get notified through that as well. Which is cool because it allows us to show that we're responding, which is great for everyone else who's also responding, or the career guys. They can see what resources are coming behind them. I mean, I hope that's helpful for you.
It's very helpful. Yeah, we love it. We haven't always had that, and it's so nice to see.
Yeah.
Okay, we got 8 people coming.
Yeah. I'll jump in the car, or I'll run over from work and get into my gear, and then kind of depending on who's arriving, who can drive trucks, potentially where in town the call is, or what the call description is, might impact what apparatus we choose to take, and we roll. Hopefully, only a few minutes behind the first engine.
Yeah. No, it's well done. Just going kind of onto the pager system we have. Have you noticed? This is a bit of a broader question, but have you noticed a lot of change in technology from when you started to where we are now?
Yeah, a big part of it is the mobile dispatch. Like how when I first started as a volunteer, there always needed to be somebody at the in the alarm room, always.
Okay.
First arriving full-time firefighter would stay in the alarm room and act as dispatch. You could never leave the station without anybody in it.
Okay.
So now we can go, we can go do our checks, check the truck at the airport, and know that if somebody calls 911, it's not coming to the station anymore. It's going to Surrey, is where our dispatch center is, and then they call us on the radio. So as long as we have a radio, so that's a big change.
When did that change?
That would have changed probably in like 2000 and I'm guessing like 11 or something.
Okay.
Maybe.
Yeah.
So that's one big change in technology. And then the I Am Responding, which is the app that we use for our page comes through, like Emily said, and then all the volunteers can hit responding to the station or to the scene. We can immediately see that we've got however many coming to the scene or to the station. Well, we can see there's a driver coming to the station, so we know that the next truck can roll. But it also tells us, like, okay, maybe the page didn't actually work.
Right.
Nobody's responding. Like, something wrong, and then we can call dispatch and say, do a second page. Those are the biggest technological changes I've seen, or that have had the biggest impact, I guess, on operations here.
Right.
Yeah, it's really interesting about the radio, because I imagine there was a period when that changed, but maybe like mapping technology wasn't there.
No, totally.
And so there was, this, like, I mean, as like cell phone towers become more prevalent and they can ping locations of calls and they've got like solid mapping technology.
Yeah.
But in the interim,
that was,
I can imagine that being quite difficult.
For sure there was. So now when we get a false alarm, it goes to Surrey, of course, it goes to their monitoring. This fire station used to be the monitoring for a lot of buildings in town. So when their alarm would go off, the board, there's this old board in the alarm room that had different addresses on it that would light up. That would mean there was an alarm. I never saw that as a career, so you have to talk to somebody else about how exactly that worked. But everything came through here.
Mm-hmm.
The 911 calls. And so it is nice in a lot of ways that those professional dispatchers, they know how, they take the call and get all the information that we need and give it to us. Whereas before, engine one couldn't roll until they talked to the person or calmed them down enough to figure out what was going on and where they were. So I never had to deal with that as a career. Like I said, that changed just before. But they used to have to answer the phone and then try and like figure out what was going on and then decide which trucks were going, where they were going, what they were doing. Now that's kind of all left with dispatch in Surrey, and they just give us the address and the type of call, and we can go.
Right.
And we can focus on that, which is nice in some ways, but like I said, there's problems on the other side sometimes.
Yeah, and I mean, something I've learned working as a paramedic is the dispatch is only as good as the caller.
Yeah.
So the dispatch is doing the best they can to get the correct information, but all they can glean from the information they can gather is what the person on the other end of the line is giving them. So, I mean, again, they're doing the best they can. They give you the best. And especially, like you said, they're not from around here, so couldn't call and be like, oh, it's Mrs. Smith, and I know she lives at this address, and, it just wouldn't work like that anymore. But like you said, it's also a bit more efficient and a little quicker, so pros and cons. We kind of jumped this, but could you break down what our department is? Because our department's composite, which is kind of rare or a little different than some.
It's a bit different. We're being like a medium-sized town, or I guess depending what town or city you're from, you'd call us something different. But we're a composite department. That means we're a combination of full-time firefighters and volunteer firefighters. Because we're not quite big enough to have all full-time firefighters. We cities this size just can't afford to pay everybody full-time to cover everything. So we rely on volunteers or paid on calls to come, like Emily said earlier, when the numbers are needed. Sometimes we need 20 or 30 people, but they can't staff the station with 20 or 30 people. Because we have no mutual aid, is another reason to justify more full-time firefighters than maybe there might be some towns out there that, though there's fewer and fewer, that can rely more on volunteers and more on mutual aid. they may have a neighboring community that's much bigger than they are, and they can count on them in the event of a major disaster. Revelstoke being so isolated, we need to be able to handle every emergency, just our department.
Yeah.
So that is why, as the town grows, and the amount of calls we go to increases, and the type of calls we go to changes, we are trying to get more career firefighters. I think we'll be a combination department for a long, long time. But our isolation is a big reason for us needing full-time firefighters.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, our escape room is called Revelstoke, so
That's right. It's a real thing.
The Trans-Canada, you can have a avalanche closure on one side and a car accident on the other, and all of a sudden you can't get anywhere.
Yeah.
So,
Totally.
it's totally valid, and something that I didn't think I realized until I moved here, and it happened, and all of a sudden the grocery store didn't have any produce.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, okay.
This is a real thing.
Yeah, this is interesting. So, it's something to definitely to consider and think about in sort of your own township. Like, where are you compared to emergency services, and what's your access to help should you need it and when you need it. Speaking of, have you noticed since joining the fire department, have you changed your own sort of lifestyle, how you drive a car, how you work in your house, or, how you react to situations? Have you noticed anything, Emily?
I think my kitchen etiquette is better. I'm more conscious of not putting flammable things immediately next to the stove where they might tip over. Also, like, not storing things around, I don't know, in like your mechanical room of your home, not using that as a storage space, maybe.
Yeah.
I think my partner gets a little frustrated sometimes when I tell him he shouldn't put things there.
Hey, you have your reasons?
Yeah.
I have for sure. And I don't know for sure if it's just me getting older that has changed me, or if it's actually being on the department that's changed me. But my wife would agree that I'm much tidier and cleanliness oriented than I used to be. And like I said, I don't know if that's just me being older, but I'd like order much more and clean things, tidy things much more than I used to. Not that I was a slob, but I was a 20-something-year-old guy that kind of lived like a 20-something-year-old guy. And how I tend to keep things tidier. It's changed for sure how I drive on the highway, or how I drive in general. Again, not that I was crazy on the road, but I sure don't even consider taking any chances anymore. I think that anybody involved in highway rescue is probably the same. You just realize it's not worth the 30 seconds you might save passing that person if you're not 100% sure that it's safe.
Yeah.
Or just going a few kilometers over the speed limit. It's not really worth it. We've all seen more than we want to, and it's usually to do with speed or just driving stupidly. So
Yeah.
I'm
definitely known to suggest to the driver that maybe they should increase their following distance.
Yeah.
I thought you were saying increase their speed. I was like, wait a second, that's a little contra. No, I agree. I think you do see certain things and you're like, oh, that's just...
Yeah, that could have easily been prevented.
For sure. Yeah.
Pretty much every accident we go to, you look at it and you're like, man, they could have just driven normally and nobody would be hurt or dead.
Yeah.
I think we respond to a very highly trafficked section of road with like one highway, but also like through Rogers Pass, like it's a very windy and dangerous stretch of road as well. So we see some pretty
You have to drive carefully on these roads. People don't.
Well,
put your winter tires on early.
Yep, for sure. I mean, they're windy roads and there's lots of speed and lots of traffic, so it's a tricky combination.
And lots of vehicles that are much, much larger than you.
Totally, yeah.
Have you noticed any major misconceptions about the fire service that you'd like to strike on the record?
You got any?
I don't remember if I had any.
One for me that I think is it, especially in a town like this that's so kind of connected with wildfire, is when I say I'm a firefighter, people immediately jump to wildfire, which is fine.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
they do an incredible job, and I would be,
You're happy to take the credit.
I'd be honored to be part of that service, but I'm not. So I don't want to, take credit for things I don't do. So I'm always quick to be like, oh no, structure. And people
Yeah.
are like, oh, okay, structure fire versus wildfire, but they always jump to wildfire
Yeah,
first. Yeah,
It's in the news so much these last few years
for sure. Yeah.
in
It's a
BC towns.
big ticket item.
Yeah, that's true, actually, though. I think often, like, even my parents, who I think understand that I'm on a structural city fire department, will be like, oh, I saw there's a bushfire near Revelstoke. Did you respond to that?
Yeah.
And I'm like, no. That's wildfire. It is a separate entity.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one to try and address, because it is a common one.
For sure.
People, we've had many calls over the years when there's a fire near whatever, say even like 15 kilometers away. If you can see it from Revelstoke, people have come here really, really upset and like ringing the bell or phoning, like, why aren't you out there?
Mm-hmm.
Like, why aren't you at the top of Boulder Mountain right now? And we try to explain that we're city firefighters. We've had people, I think the guy was from Pittsburgh. He called me one night in the middle of the night, and he was watching the CP Rail webcam, and he could see smoke on one of the mountains, and he's freaking out trying to get me to go to this.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm like, man, I'm not going. I don't know how else to explain this to you, but I'm not going up this mountain right now.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that is a good one to address, because we're the same in some ways, but we have different boundaries as far as where we respond and what exactly we do.
Mm-hmm.
Which maybe, given we're discussing the fact that it's a very common misconception, we should explain that as a city
Yeah.
municipal structural fire department, we respond to calls within our fire protection boundary,
Yep.
which is slightly different from the city limit boundary, but generally anything outside that fire protection boundary, which largely would include forest or bushfires, we
Yep.
don't respond to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We might respond to something if it fell within, or we would respond to something if it fell within our boundary, or maybe
Just
if
outside.
it's
even.
just outside and has the ability to impact or move into our boundary.
Yeah, for sure.
But that's kind of the delineator.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
That's something I don't think I noticed until I joined the department is, I mean, you see them when you're on roads and you pass a sign and it's a little tiny white sign in BC that says city limits of
Yeah.
Revelstoke.
Yeah.
And then you go a little bit farther and then there's another one that says fire protection boundary.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's just something that, for our viewer, you could look for the next time you leave your community.
Yeah.
So
where
you
the
know
boundary is.
sort of where the response is and where your community might respond. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's something I never really took much notice of until I joined.
Yeah.
'Cause
I noticed those now as well.
Yeah.
I can't remember what it was, but I remember driving into another small town and commenting to my partner being like, oh wow, like we're still kind of far out from town and they've got a really big like
really
fire
big
protection
protection area.
boundary.
Yeah, the same
He's
thing, yeah.
rolling his eyes at me.
Yeah.
Well, and to add to that, kind of what people don't understand is that there is kind of no man's land out
Mhm.
there that has no fire protection. In the summer, it would have fire protection from BC wildfire, from brush fires, but there's houses between here and Malacqua, or houses between here and Golden, that are outside of any structure fire protection or structural fire department boundary that just burned down.
Right.
It's like, or vehicle fires. We get lots of calls for vehicle fires that are somewhere in that area that there's no fire protection. And unless it's in the summer or spring or whatever, and might be threatening the forest, and that if there's wildfire crews that are employed at the time, they might go protect the forest, or they will go protect the forest, but they're not trained to fight car fires, vehicle fires. So that's why you'll often see you'll see either completely burnt out cars, or you'll drive down the highway and there's a vehicle just burning and no one's doing anything about it because there is no fire protection in certain areas. That's just the nature of BC. We're just very spread out, and
Mm-hmm.
that's the way it is.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the main differentiator for us, and when people see car accidents and you might not see the fire department, is our department also only responds if someone's stuck.
Yeah.
If there's someone trapped in a vehicle, that's when we go. And I mean, most of the time we will start going, but ambulance usually beats us there because they can respond right from their station, and then we have to respond to the station and then respond to the call. And by the time we're halfway down the highway, ambulance has gone there and realized no one's stuck, and we just turn around. So, I mean, especially, it feels like in the Trans-Canada, you'd see a lot more fire trucks, but we would probably do more harm than good by being there, because, people start to pay attention to us instead of the road in front of them, and we take up a lot of road. So, yeah, just another kind of weird, I guess, misconception maybe of what our responsibility on highway calls is.
Yeah, that's true.
Mm-hmm.
I guess one more quick one. Maybe people have picked up on that if they've listened to this far. They that we respond to, and I talked about the different kind of calls earlier, but that is a big misconception. That is, if there's no fire going on, then we must be sitting here watching movies and having barbecues and just waiting for the fires to come. There's always a lot to do. Lots of other calls, lots of training, and there's lots involved in just keeping a station running day to day. And
So as a career firefighter, Matt, what does a day in the life look like? I know you just mentioned that you don't want to people think you're sitting around, so defend yourself.
Okay.
Back it up.
Here we go. So every day, we just so happen to have 7 days in the week, and we also have 7 trucks. Some get lumped together, and we have other duties on other days. But anyways, basically, every day has its truck that gets gone through a full air pre-trip, and all the equipment on the truck needs to be given a once over. All the breathing apparatus checked, and all the saws, all the pumping stuff. The truck gets put into pump. Basically, every single thing on that truck we need to know that it works perfectly every day, and so once a week each truck has that done to it. So that takes up a big chunk of the morning, or above of the day, most of the morning. And each day we have our allotted fitness, which is only an hour out of our 24-hour shift. We're an hour of fitness, and we have the airport to look after too. We have our EOC, Emergency Operations Center, and another truck down there. There's always training to be done on top of all that, and then on average there's a couple calls a day that we're dealing with. So that's kind of a typical day. And in the evenings we often have volunteers coming in that are doing some extra training, or we're working on our training in the evenings too, depending if we have 1 on or 2 on. We could be involved in a course that's happening at the same time. There's always lots to do.
Yep.
Always little maintenance things around the hall that need doing. We don't pay custodians here. We do all our cleaning, and so it's
Nice.
all on us.
Yeah, for sure. What's a day in your life?
She comes for the fun stuff.
Yeah.
None of the toilet scrubbing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Hey, I did my time at the cafe.
As a volunteer, Emily, what do you look forward to the most what brings you to the hall?
What brings me to the hall? I guess, a call or training, or coming in to use the gym, or sometimes like a few of us will organize to do some additional training just to run through stuff that we want to review. I think just like coming in on any occasion and getting to train and do what we do, it's just fun. It's good to use the tools and practice and work with other members of the department, and I don't know, get to know how each other reacts, and just it always improves like the team camaraderie, I think, which is pretty cool.
For sure. Yeah, I think we're fortunate. You mentioned the training center, Matt, and we have like the fake door that we can use. Like we've got lots of tools, and there's a tower attached to our hall. So there's lots of opportunities to train and punish yourself and work on skills.
There's often like a fitness challenge in the gym, which is just good for, a group of 20 to 30 odd people that are inherently quite competitive and like to push each other.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's been really good. And I mean, we were afforded the opportunity as well to do lots of sort of third-party training. What of the training kind of stood out to you for third-party training that was brought in?
I haven't actually done a third-party one in a while. I missed the aerial ladder truck training, which I was sad about. I was not in town.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, one thing that it's not a training that we put on here, but it's something that's run within the province each year, is the like volunteer spring seminar, which is run by a different department, and they put on a whole bunch of different training drills and live fire trainings, and we usually send a small crew of like 4 or 5 people to that each year, which I've been fortunate enough to go to the last 2 years, which has been really cool for getting additional training and hands-on experience and just meeting other people from other departments, seeing how their departments run, learning different skills maybe that they employ that we don't, and comparing different methods of approaching problems.
Yeah, I've never been to that, but all those things are good. That's why it's nice to bring any kind of third-party training here or go into those things in a small, isolated town like we talked about. It'd be pretty easy to just keep doing things the old-fashioned way, and it's nice to get the ideas from these other departments, for sure.
Yeah, I came one of those years with Emily, and I was just staggered by the variety of gear and equipment, and like we have sort of your standard North American helmet style, and some departments are bringing in the Euro style, which looks more like a motorcycle helmet, and just different tactics that we would discuss with what certain departments have deemed necessary or safe for their ability and response levels, and just how much variety there is across the province. Because you kind of assume, I guess, that there is standardization. There's the NFPA, there's national standards for fire protection, but what different departments are able to apply in their fire protection boundaries and the strategies that they use to do so is quite interesting.
Yeah, it's interesting. You can definitely see there's different levels of funding that go into different departments as well, like just in terms of like the age of gear that you see.
Yeah.
And that can really impact your ability to do your job as well. Like something I learned last year, which was kind of crazy, was another person that was on a live burn building prop with me had an older helmet. I can't remember if it was at its expiry point or not, but we came out of the building and you could see that the front of their helmet had started to melt.
Oh, wow.
And like, that's just like there's nothing clearer than that, than showing how important it is to have like
no kidding,
good quality, well-maintained gear.
For sure. Yeah. And I mean, I think that's something we're fortunate with, the careers, having career firefighters here all the time, maintaining gear and looking after it.
Yeah, and doing all those weekly checks and knowing that when you come in, you're picking up a tool that is in good condition.
For sure.
It should start first pull every time.
It should start first pull.
Whatever the motor is running.
Yeah. If you were to join another first responding branch, what branch would you join? You can't say wildfire, Matt, because you already said you really liked it, so that's cheating. And you've already
crossed that one off the list.
Yeah.
You go ahead, Emily, if you want. You got one in mind.
I think I would join search and rescue. That was when I was thinking of potential volunteer opportunities. That was definitely something that crossed my mind as well. In Revelstoke, there are many, many very talented, well-qualified people that are on our search and rescue department.
Yep.
And I unfortunately don't have that kind of background.
Hey,
but
you got to start somewhere.
I'm very happy with where I ended up. So.
Yeah, I think search and rescue too would be really interesting, given our terrain out around here. And do I have to pick something different than Emily?
No, you can. It's like ordering at a restaurant. You can order the same thing
if you want. I can say wildfire.
Yeah, I just like I like being outside, so I would say search and rescue.
Perfect.
For sure.
Is there any advice that you could offer to someone who might be, maybe say there's a high schooler watching who is interested in a future in the fire service, that either of you could offer for someone, like steps to start or things to look into doing, sort of hit the ground running should they want to join a fire service?
So it's one of those things that it's hard to know if you'd enjoy it and if it's for you without doing it. So becoming a volunteer is a great way in any community to see if it's something that you'd want to pursue as a career. Unless you want to just dive right in and go to fire school, if you're just that sure about it. But yeah, it's, I would say come down to the hall too and ask questions. We're always happy to answer them, and maybe we can help direct you one way or the other. whatever that would be. Yeah.
Yeah, I think if you are interested, like being a volunteer is a great way. For me, like I don't have like a particularly heavy like medical experience background. Like I have basic first aid training, and I was a bit like, I don't know if I'll have like the prerequisites or the qualities that I need to be a volunteer, but that's kind of the beauty of it. You can train on the job here, and I guess they look for not necessarily like training certifications, but more personal qualities or fitness, and then you have that opportunity to learn as you go and get more of an indication of whether it's something you do want to pursue as a career, and then maybe you can go down that road of being like, okay, well, I need this level of medical experience and other training qualities.
Yeah, and I guess I'll have to see how this sounds when it comes out. Maybe it's if I want you to cut it at the
really
end.
Exciting.
Yeah.
I feel like that whole spiel wasn't my best, but whatever. I was really struggling with the words.
No, it's good. I'm just thinking about, not that I want to discourage anybody from getting into the fire service, but I think people need to be realistic about it. It's not like it is in the movies, it's not all this glory. It's not backdraft. It's not like
Chicago Fire.
Yeah. So
that got me in.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong. I love it. I'm glad that I have it as a career, but there's a lot of parts of the job that maybe people don't know about and maybe wouldn't be okay with. And it's, the only way to really know is to come and volunteer, like we said, or come talk to people on staff here and really do your research, because I think some people get into it for the wrong reasons. And then, it doesn't work out long term.
For sure.
I think it can be hard as well to not realize how much of a commitment it can be.
It's a huge commitment, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And, like you said, it's not the movies. I think our average time on a fire scene is, on a big one, it's a few hours. On a not as a big one, an hour or so. But then there's an hour to 2 to 3 hours of cleaning and making sure the gear's ready for the next call. Yeah. And that's something I think that not surprised me, but you do a lot more maintenance and cleaning and reorganization than you do putting water onto a fire at a scene.
Totally. Yeah. That's very true. It's kind of like, the huge majority of our time is spent preparing in the form of training and checking equipment and, preparation and training compared to actual time. But that's important. It has to be that way because the scenes that we're on are they're so chaotic and unsafe, and things have to be in perfect order, and you have to be super confident in what you're doing, and you have to have done your preparation and training, or things go sideways really, really quickly.
For sure.
But you have to be okay with it. You have to enjoy that part.
Yeah.
It's like I always say to people trying to get into hunting, I'm like, you have to just like hiking around the mountains or just sitting in one place for a long time and not seeing anything.
Yeah.
Hunting isn't just going and like, oh, sweet, I got some meat for the freezer. You spend the majority of your time not getting meat in your freezer. Okay? It's all preparation and time put in.
Yeah.
And then once in a while, you got to use it.
That was a much better analogy.
Yeah, carpenter one was a stretch.
Yeah, it's okay.
I liked the part about almost hitting the nail. Something I think I never really appreciated was once the flames are out, how much time potentially needs to be spent.
Yeah, still dumping water
on something.
Yeah.
Yeah, the overhaul.
Oh, yeah. Like the amount of time to ensure that is not going to start up again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just securing anything that might have, I don't know, come loose or has the potential to cause knock-on effects.
Yeah, totally. It's it's a pile of, I saw it with forestry, how much water it would take to put out a hot spot that was putting out just a little wisp of smoke, and how deep in the ground it would get, and you'd just be pumping water on it and be steaming for hours. When these buildings collapse on top of themselves, fires can burn through the winter under 8 feet of snow.
Yeah.
Right.
Of course, there's going to be a fire burning underneath that pile of
Yeah.
rubble for a long time until an excavator can come and pull it apart. It's going to be, you can't get water on it.
Right. No, exactly. It,
Yeah.
like self-contains.
Totally.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we could talk about that all night. So I just want to thank you both for your time. This has been excellent. This was round 2. I foolishly didn't hit record properly the first time. Lessons learned. And that's
No
why you always
experience
check your equipment. But Matt, Emily, thank you for your time. And
Thanks for having us.
yeah, we'll see you at training.
See you third time around.
Okay.
Third time's a charm, right?